Hey, thanks for stopping in. It's Colonel here. We're Colonel K. We're working on our Stromberg carburetor for our half track. As you can see, exterior-wise, it's pretty dirty. But I sent this in for rebuild, and when I first got my track home, and I'm pretty well convinced that a lot of things were not drilled out, and passageways cleaned out. My idle here doesn't even work. Yeah, so today's goal is we're going to tear this down and have an excellent rebuild kit that a gentleman put together for me, and that's all he does is carburetors. And he not only does he get down to the type and model, but he wants your number right off the top, which in this case is 2960, so that he knows when he puts the kit together. Interior looks pretty good. It'll be interesting to pull the float bowl off, but I am missing. There's supposed to be a gasket in here, and actually with a hole in it for that. That was never put in. Old one removed. I'm gonna clean my screws up here. This thing just needs to be cleaned, and I need to know that all these passages were opened up. The track has never run right. It's not the engine, it's been the carburation. It's just never run quite like I wanted it to. And carbs for these things are unbelievably expensive. And generally everybody wants it would probably cost me $600 to buy a carb. And even then, I don't know if it's been gone through. It could come out of the box, but all the gaskets are not necessarily set up to handle ethanol. And I wish we'd get rid of that crap. We don't need it in our gas. She's welding on there pretty good. There we go. Just need to start it. look really good. Alright, so turn the rest of this down. I've got these 2 jets in here I want to remove. I've got to go get smaller wrenches. I don't have anything that small in here. Take this and pop that shaft out. I'll have to get that in, get some taps. I want to pull that shaft out so I can really make sure I polish it up and clean it. So it's that's the choke shaft, by the way. Here's my 2 accelerator in the Venturi, my 2 paddles. I'm not sure exactly what you call them, hell. But yeah, before I really tear into this, I want to make sure that I've got this where I can get these passages all to have the cleaning fluid go through them. I want all my shafts out of here so I can polish them. I have polishing equipment here, big polishing. Oh, I got one in there that's still not ready to come out. Got this shaft out. The end is a mess. It's just, it's straight, but it's rough shape. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take this all off and I will polish it. I will polish it so the day it looks new, and I will polish everything in here. Ultrasound will help a lot with that, and same thing with this, but this is where they are. This is just full of crap. So there's no way that this circuit has been functioning in this carburetor. So I'm working on the carburetor. I've got a bowl, a fuel filter that goes underneath on the frame. It's been in rough shape, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. It's all copper. Correction, it's brass, as I was. It's brass, and it should polish up really well underneath here. Alright, here's some wash baskets I use for clock and watch parts. Put all my little parts in here. Yeah, here's my excuse me. Yeah, here's my dryer setup. Usually, in my clock room, this would all be there, in my sink, and as I stated, we're not quite there yet. Well, welcome back to the show. As you can see, I actually was using these things to inspect all the really small openings and passageways of my throttle body. Got everything pretty well cleaned up here. Actually, the ultrasound did a wonderful job. I did smooth out some surfaces in here with some super fine sanding paper. I think just from sitting over the years where the butterfly valves had closed down, and below that there was some buildup on there. But passageways are clean. The pieces are clean. I'm ready to start assembling this thing. Now I'm a little disappointed. I took a look at my kit here. I haven't opened it. I took a look at my kit, but I can see some parts here that I expected to be replaced, but not happening. I saved everything I took out of here. Any brass pieces or anything that I took out that I might need, I saved. I'm not a very trusting soul, so I don't want to toss anything before I'm sure where it needs to be. There's a instruction sheet in here. I'll be curious because I've actually got the book on. I've got the military book for this, all Stromberg carburetors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this thing up and let's just see what we have here for parts and pieces. I made some repairs on shafts. I cleaned shafts up. I even polished them up because, quite honestly, they needed it. There's some really rough areas on these shafts. Okay, for gaskets. Alright, we've got all kinds of gaskets. Base gaskets. I'm sure this is for more than one application. I mean, model of Stromberg, this particular model. So we'll shake all that out. Now the real thing I want to get to is there's a needle and seat. I want to get to all my little tiny parts in here. I want to see what this kit includes. I'd like to sub some other things. I would have liked to see some new jets. That kind of stuff I would have liked to have seen. That to me is really crucial. We've got two small ball bearings. We'll see where these go in. Springs. Okay, those have got to be for my idle adjusting screws. World of difference there. If you can see, the old screw has got a huge wear spot in it. No wonder the thing wouldn't work. So instead of replacing them, they just put the old ones in, and of course that's probably one reason I didn't have any adjustment at idle. That was pretty disappointing. I think that rebuild was like $600. Oops. New accelerator pump, yay. Needle and seat, yay. No idea what the felt is for. Again, this probably has several applications. We got two pieces of felt here. Okay, there's one of my jets, one of my fuel control. But there's two other ones, and neither of them were replaced. Holy cow! So this is what I was talking about. When you get a new manual, you get a manual. It's been run so many times. I mean, half this crap you can't tell what it is. And hey, I actually do have magnifying glasses. Have mercy, man. You're gonna need them to read this shit. Excuse me, this stuff, as I was. Pin cotter, yeah. Number one. Oh, what a mess. You know. This is for all models of Stromberg Alpha 2-barrel. So that were not included in the kit, which I kept, like needles and a couple other adjusters and jets. I have had those soaking in acetone. I'll go ahead and get them cleaned up a little bit better. I made sure everything is operating properly, cleaned out, but yeah, this stuff was actually had dirt, like dried frickin' desert dirt and shit in there, excuse me, stuff in there. And really, I was really pretty disappointed that it's a little more work to pull that stuff. I get it, but you know, if you're charging somebody to rebuild a carburetor, then rebuild it. I trust my work. I may be slower, I may goof up now and then, but I trust my work. And I've always got more time than money, as most of us do. I don't care what kind of hobby you're in, unless you're Jay Leno, maybe. Alright, let's take a look at this thing and see when we start putting it back together. Well, I do want to show you a couple things. This is my choke. Now, you know, it's hard. I tried to get my tolerances to make sure that nothing's out of whack here. I'm talking about your shafts moving up and down in your areas here. I mean, if that's a fact, then you're going to basically have to tap that out, make a bushing if you can do so, or find a bushing, and then go ahead and put it back in. I could not get my choke. I could not even get this out of here. It was, the end was so peened over, and I'm not sure why, how that even happened. But needless to say, you know, it moves in and out of there smoothly, and there is no shake. You want to look for movement. You want to look for movement there. It's just tight as can be. I got just a hair. Do a quick review of where we're at right now. We've installed our idling tubes, both of them. You have a power jet here. You have a accelerator pump bypass jet. Those have been reinstalled. I've got metering, and then there's a dispersal underneath that. This is your inlet check valve for your fuel that comes in. Throttle body, the butterfly is reinstalled, moves smoothly. This is your accelerator pump arm, the actuator. This is the one that I needed to repair because it was bound up. So as you can see, it's highly polished. This has been polished on the inside and it moves freely now. Top part of the carburetor, we've reinstalled all of our choke, linkage. This is for your cable when it comes through. Of course, the choke itself. Everything has been cleaned out. New needle seat, the floats. This is part of your accelerator pump bypass. That's been all reinstalled, everything cleaned and reinstalled. Really what I have left to do now is put the three components together, our plugs back in. And what I have to do right now is I have to set my float, then remove my float after it's set, put my gasket on, and reinstall my float. For Stromberg carburetors, is Technical Manual 9/1826 Bravo. Was published in 1944. This is a reproduction. It's an outstanding reproduction. The photos are extremely clear. This handles all Stromberg carburetors. Alright, so we've got our float settings, 11/32. Interestingly enough, the carburetor manual doesn't say that per se. It's got a special float gauge that you're supposed to stick in here. Of course, I can't imagine I had a lot of float gauges. Of course, it doesn't say anything other than that. So you go to the track manual, though. Thankfully, in the half-track manual, it says if a float gauge is unavailable, set the floats from the casting, flush part of the casting from the float, 11/32. So you got 11/32 drill bit. same diameter all the way up. Just slip it under. Make your adjustments here with a pair of pliers. Basically, what you do is you go ahead and you bend this back with pliers to set it. Remember, you've got a valve in here that you have to stall first. That moves nicely. Very gently get that over your floats. You don't want to have anything hanging up. You got your screws from up above. Linkage is free. I just want to be free. Oh yeah, sorry. Shut this off. Alright, screws are in. I pulled my inspection plug from the side here and I can actually see that my float is moving freely in there. It's not hung up. That's a good sign. You definitely want that. Alright, let's go ahead and get our plugs back in here. We'll hook up our accelerator. Got a washer on there. Don't forget your washer. Alright, reshaped our bushing, trimmed down the bolt, and now this thing, I believe, the book doesn't really show anything other than a bolt and a bushing, but it doesn't show length or anything else. But now this thing is operating like it should. I've still got to put my cotter pin and stuff in here. And yeah, I got clearance, it's not hitting the body. So, and it's fairly well centered. Now, if I can just find that bellows, we'll be... Alright, we're finished with the carb. The gasket's all made and put in here. Everything is hooked up on here, with the exception of throttle linkage, which is laying there. I'm not gonna put that on until I get this mounted up, and I can't remember how that goes set in there. The book doesn't have really good pictures, so, and I've got to find a bellows for that. But other than that, I restored the linkage here. Quite honestly, this was just a mess. You can see we reduced it down. This was installed on the wrong side, so it was on the inside pointing in. It's supposed to be on the inside, not on the outside. And it was in the wrong hole. There's two holes here, so the action is nice and smooth, nothing's hanging up. Bottom line, everything's put back together and works well, so I'm pretty pleased. So yesterday the fuel pump rebuilt, today the carburetor. When the weather is less refreshing, I'll go back out and we'll go ahead and get that hood torn down and radiator up. But Yeah, it'll be fun to throw this bad boy back on, and I will be looking very forward to starting this thing up and operating it. That never worked out well. I don't know why it took so long to just re-engineer it, but there we are. Anyway, hey, thank you for sharing some time with me. I appreciate you watching my videos. Remember, subscribe, and I'll look forward to being with y'all again. Thank you. Bye-bye.